Legends of the popular folk hero Kled can be traced back to the founding of Noxus, and perhaps even further still. He is an icon revered by the common soldiery, which is increasingly a cause of concern to their commanders, for there are some among the warhosts who claim to have literally served beside him. Tall tales such as the Great Hussar's Victory, the return of the High General Marshal Sergeant, and the Mountain Admiral abound, which strongly imply Kled has fought in every campaign ever waged, acquired every military title, and never once backed down from a fight. Though the details are often outlandish and contradictory, the essence of the tale remains. Charging into battle on his untrusty steed, Scarlet, Kled fights to protect what's his and takes whatever else he can get. In truth, the Cantankerous Cavalier hails from another land entirely Bandle City. As a Yordle, he made his home among the proud Noxus tribes in the wake of the Rune Wars, and has never looked back. The earliest mention of Kled in historical records was at the First Battle of Drun. In the dusty hills of those badlands, the warhost of Generals Avon was on the run from barbarian foes. Having lost the previous 2 engagements, morale was low. The supply train had been abandoned in the rout, and they were a week's march from the nearest outpost. Zavin, in his spotless armor, seemed more concerned with how this would appear back home than the welfare of his soldiers, and ordered a defensive circle formation to buy himself time to think. Then, as the morning sun rose, the lone figure of Kled appeared on the hilltop, mounted upon a desert Dracolops. This warrior's weapon was rusted, his armor worn, his clothes tattered, but contempt and anger burned in his one good eye. He bellowed an ultimatum to the barbarian horde, demanding that they leave his lands or be destroyed. However, he did not wait for any response, spurring his steed and screaming the charge. Desperate, starving, and furious with their general, the Noxian warhost's anger ignited at the sight of this act of bravado. They rushed after Kled as he tore into the enemy. What followed was one of the bloodiest melees ever fought on the northern steppes. The initial momentum of the counterattack was crushed beneath a hail of barbarian arrows from higher ground, but Kled fought on even after he was thrown from his saddle, and his Dracolops fled. He always seemed to be at the heart of the battle, chopping down foes, kicking out teeth, and biting faces. The bodies piled up around him, and his clothes were soaked with blood. He screamed louder challenges and cruder insults. Clearly, this great warrior was willing to die before ever backing down. Cowardice can be infectious, but so too can courage. Where the Noxians might have given up and fled for their lives, instead they were inspired to make one last stand. Even Kled's Dracolops returned, and crashed into the barbarian's rearward, snarling and clawing as it dived in to free his master. With his mount again beneath him, Kled became a veritable whirlwind of death, and it was the barbarians who broke Adran. Though too few of the Noxian soldiers survived that day for it to be considered a victory, Drun was contested long enough that word reached the immortal bastion, and reinforcements were sent. The war ground on for at least another decade, until the barbarian leaders sued for peace. Their strength was added to Noxus, and Drun became a foothold for continued campaigns across Dalamur and the north for many centuries to come. The body of Generals Avon and his fine armor was never found. In time, countless other warhosts of the Empire acquired similar stories of Kled. It has long been said that he rides wherever Noxians march, claiming the spoils of war for himself. Indeed, in their wake, good-humored signs can often be found proclaiming each new territory property of Kled.